Salubria was a historic site of 44 acres, and we wanted to make sure that we did not lose sight of the historical significance of the site. Dr. John Bain was a prominent county person in his own right and an international horticulturist. And Judah was his slave. And Judah just practiced what all slaves did, resistance to slavery. That was not a very happy situation for anybody who was enslaved. And so today we want to share with you and the historic sites along the Potomac the history of this area. They're going to move right to Obie Patterson, who is the 8th District Councilmanic representative for this area, and we are happy that he rearranged his schedule to be with us today.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Well, good morning. Good morning. Beautiful morning, right? Yes. Great, great. Let me thank all of you for coming out this wonderful morning to help us celebrate what I was told the first center in the southern part of Prince George's County, so we're very grateful of that, and I certainly want to thank Mr. Peterson, who just continued to bring us great jewels down in the southern part of Prince George's County. We all know about Tanger, we all know about National Harbor, we know about the Capitol Wheel. They just keep rolling just like the Capitol Wheel, so don't stop, bring them on, all right? Also, let me give a special thanks to some very key folks. A lot of key people had a part in this, but I certainly want to acknowledge June White Dillard, Rhonda Dallas, Dave Turner, Dick Kruger, and all the members of the African American Heritage Preservation Group and the Broad Creek Historical Group that all had a hand in making this possible this morning. You know, who say we cannot have economic development such as Tanger Outlet that cannot coexist with historical preservation and beauty? Well, look around. We got development, we got history, and all of you make up the beauty, all right? My hope, however, is that this center will become a model for the entire county, helping us to preserve history and at the same time, good, clean, quality development. So we as elected officials, I'm going to take it back to my colleagues in Upper Marlboro to let them know that we all need to take a more active role in working with all our historical partners and making sure that we maximize the benefit of a center like you. You know, this could be an engine as well in helping us to bring in revenue throughout this county. So we need to take a more an aggressive approach, and I promise you that I would do that. And lastly, let me just say, again, thank you for coming and helping us celebrate the marriage of history and economic development. Thank you very much.
We could not have done this and taken over Tanger without the help of Tanger Outlet. So I'd like to introduce Chrissy Swanson, who worked closely with us on our project team.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to Tanger Outlet's National Harbor. We are absolutely thrilled to have this new Potomac Heritage Visitor Center a part of our center. I think it makes us unique. We feel really special to be a part of it, and we are really excited to see what this brings to our center. So thank you very much.
We are going to have a song by a member of the Coalition of African American Performing Artists. And Mr. Wayne Jennings, will he come forward? And he's going to sing Freedom.
Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. No more mourning, no more mourning, no more moaning over me. And before I'd be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. There be singing, there be singing, there be singing over me. And before I be a slave, I'd be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free.
That was absolutely magnificent. Oh, that was so wonderful. We have been joined by Delegate Jolene Ivy, who has a proclamation for us. Oh, there you are. You snuck up on me.
I did indeed. Good morning, everyone. It's such a beautiful day. It's like we just ordered the weather. And I'm really happy to be here for a number of reasons. I mean, like the councilman was saying, it's a perfect marriage of economic development and history. And this is such a wonderful resource to all of us and to everyone in Maryland and people from the entire region who are going to come here and shop. And while they're here, they can learn some Maryland history. Now, this plaque in front of me made me especially happy because it's talking about emancipation in Maryland, which of course is November 1st, 1864, is the date that Maryland slaves were freed, not the same date of the Confederate States. And a year ago, I sponsored the bill that made Emancipation Day in Maryland recognized officially by the state. So I'm especially happy and proud to see it. And this year will be 150 years of the end of slavery in Maryland. So I'm very happy. And if I could have, let's see, Delegate Walker, could you join me? We have a citation from our delegation. I'm chair of the delegation, but I'm only one member of 23. So this is from all of us. And the African American Heritage Preservation Group, who should come forward to receive that? Well, there we go. And if we could step out here a little bit.
All right.
Okay. Be it hereby known to all that sincerest congratulations are offered to the African American Heritage Preservation Group in recognition of the Potomac River Heritage Visitor Center, contributing resources and information for the community, preservationists, genealogical and historical societies researching African American historical sites and history, presented on this third day of June 2014 from the Prince George's delegation.
I would like all the members of the African American Heritage Preservation Group that are here, please stand so you can be recognized. Wave your hand. This is not a one person. This is a group that has devoted itself to preservation of African American history. And we are so happy that our county executive got here safely. and we are going to invite him to say a few words to us today. Thank you. Thank you.
Those of us who were here at the beginning when this was being developed and we were negotiating, one of the big sticking points was how would we recognize and honor the men and women who worked this plantation, who died, and who dreamed of freedom. And honor in a way that would be respectful. And if it had not been for the work of those individuals, we would not be standing here today. If it had not been for the work of those individuals that I had you clap for, this simply would just be a shopping mall. You would come here, you would shop, you would spend some money, and I'd be very happy. But you'd walk away empty. Today, when you come here and you bring your children and you shop at that mall and you walk here, you're left with more than just bags of articles. You're left with a sense of what America is all about. You're left with the struggle that we had to get to where we are today. Jay Walker, Jolene Ivey, Councilmember Patterson, and I could not be standing here before you today had it not been for the struggle of what went on at this very place. So when you come here and when you walk here and when you bring your children here, you understand how important this state was and is, and how far we have come and how much further we have to go. One of the things I said last year at one of my favorite quotes of one of my favorite people, I should tell you two things. So you know that I love history. If you've ever been to my office, there's a painting I had my son do in there. And they say, well, who's the white guy who's sitting on your wall? I said, well, everybody who can guess it, we'll give you a special tour. Picture of John Brown raising his hand in a church in Springfield, Massachusetts, where he dedicated his life to end slavery. One of my favorite pictures. So I paid my son handsomely to paint it. One of my favorite quotes, though, is from Harriet Tubman, our very own. And it's a quote where they asked her, years after she had retired and was in New York and was in her late years, and they asked her how many slaves did she free? And she said, I freed 1,000 or something. And she said, I could have freed 1,000 more if they only knew they were slaves. Just think about that. If they only knew. The progress we're going to make in this county, in this state, in this nation is because people realize how much further we have to go and that we haven't made it. And that our today is not our tomorrow. And that's what this plaque is about, and that's what this celebration is about. So thank you, and thank you for everybody being involved.
We have to give recognition to Broad Creek Historic District because both of these historic preservation groups signed the agreement with Peterson and Tanger. And we have all worked together to make this happen. And so we are honored that one of the developers is here with us today. So I want to present Mr. Milt Peterson.
Quite lively. How are we going to do this? How are we going to put this together so it's real? And I wanted to make it happen like that. And Dick basically said to me that Monday, settle down. This is going to take a while. And I am so delighted that you told me that, because what you have done here is you've taken an amalgamated business with real history and made it meaningful. Usually these things are put in the back lot where you can't see it. But what I love about this sighting, my business is placemaking. And this is a place. And this whole development becomes so much richer because of this historical remembrance. It's commemorative. That's how I see it. So having it here, you can say, hey, it's good traffic. But you know what I say? I say, look at the set. And these trees will always be here. They will always be here. And this will always be. And to have So the people, say the people that live down the road, every time they pass, that's part of my community, and it's neat. So I think that the bringing commercialization together, it's just been a fabulous success. But while I'm here, I want to recognize the lady, Dorothy Bailey, who I haven't seen for many years. And I want to tell you that we are at National Harbor because of her. She listened to my baloney many years ago. How many years ago, Dorothy? 16 to 17 years ago. She was chairman of the council. And I went with Andre Gingles and sat with her and said, this is our vision for this property. And you know what? I told her that it needed to have flexibility, have confidence in the developer. And she provided that and convinced the council, and that's why we've been able to do this. And now we have a county executive who ran on and is producing economic development. This wouldn't be here if Obi and he and Jay hadn't been a part of getting it done. Working with, not against, the people who are so interested in history. So I talk too much, but I think too much, and I love this place. Thanks for doing it.
We have one of the descendants of Dr. John A. Bain, and we're going to ask her to say a few words to you. Her name is Addison Ulbrook, and she lives in Alexandria, Virginia.
Today really belongs to the African American Heritage and Preservation Society, or group, and to Prince George's County. But I'd like to just add one personal note to the proceedings. I'm standing here on this ground where the events that today's dedication memorializes occurred. It is the place where my cousins and I grew up. I've been deeply moved by the invitation from June Dillard and the African American Heritage and Preservation Group to collaborate in my tiny way in this memorial. The past can't be revoked, but our work together helps in bringing about a new understanding and hopefully a better future. It will be an honor for me to bring my children and my grandchildren to all the new historical markers along the African American Heritage Trail that June and the other members of the group are working on. This is a deeply moving moment, and in lieu of other words, I'd like to read a lyric from a recent song by Leonard Cohen. From bitter searching of the heart, quickened with passion and pain, we rise to play a greater part. This is the faith from which we start. Men shall know commonwealth again from bitter searching of the heart.
Now, there was a little working group that met way too often, and I want to introduce Rhonda Dallas, who was our project team manager coordinator. This has been a joy of, this has just been
love this woman.
She is such an inspiration to me, so we keep each other going,
Yes.
but she has really so many visionary ideas on how we were going to make this work. So she's going to say a few words to you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is a very special day, and as June said, I served as the project team leader and also the curator, and I'm also the executive director for the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council. So this was a very special project for me because the integration of the arts and culture and history, it's seamless, and it threads the unique tapestry that community is all about. You'll often hear me use the word collective in describing this project, and collective speaks to the historic and cultural assets that we assembled, but collective also speaks to the visioning and the partnering behind this project. My role as curator was to take individual ideas, authenticate them, and then create an environment that captures the inspired stories through a combined historic and creative lens. It was an honor serving on this team, With the team came from varied entry points with diverse perspectives and thoughts. And for over 3 years, yes, 3 years, we met at each other's homes for many, many late night meetings. And I must say, some great wine and phenomenal homemade cookies. I don't know if Randy is out here. Yes. So I thank our team for all their hard work and the passion that each one brought to this project. And I'd like the team to come forward and stand here with me. June White-Dillard, of course, Richard Krieger, Dave Turner, Lawrence Winston, and Zeno St. Cyr. So let's give our team a round of applause. Okay, great. Okay.
Can you speak a little louder?
Okay, sorry. Experience Salubria is a living project. It's a continuum of discovery and design where every element is intentional. Our design partner, Quarterfall, is a local company right here in Laurel, and they've done exhibits throughout prestigious institutions throughout the country. What you are experiencing today are the core components. So where you're sitting now is the Salubria Memorial Garden. We will also be going to the Heritage Visitor Center, and we have 2 bronze plaques that depict the history of Salubria. In the planning stages, right in this area here, we will be commissioning a public art piece, which will be a contemporary design with the theme of the emancipation of slavery in Maryland. And as Delegate Jolene Ivey stated, it is going to be the first of its kind. We are also going to have a commissioned garden bench. Thank you, being sponsored by our council member, Obie Patterson.
Here, here.
We will also be working with local artist Curtis Woody, who will be creating an original mosaic panel series that will hang within our visitor center windows. Also in the visitor center, when you go in, you'll see a slideshow presentation, but that is going to be an interactive video, which will serve as an educational and also a tourism resource, and much more to come. So in closing, I'd also like to recognize State Senator Anthony Muse and Delegate Jay Walker, who will bring up to say a few words. This past legislative period, they co-sponsored a bond bill that will help us continue with our work. We would also like to acknowledge our appreciation to Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission, the project liaisons Jennifer Stabler and Mika Fields, the chair, Betty Hewlett, and our new project partner, the new director of Oxon Hill Manor, Juanita Moore-Akita. Can you raise your hand out here? There she is, right there. She's in the family now. So what I'd like to do now is bring up Delegate Jay Walker to say a few words, and then we'll proceed with the procession.
Oh, this, our senator is here.
Oh, Senator, I didn't see it. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, we'll do this together. Come on, Senator Muse. Wow, is that great timing or what? You know how to make an entrance or what? Right when it's time for the state to talk about our little share we did. I think in terms of what we were trying to accomplish, Maryland's big on education. And I would say I want to thank Zeno and Dick and David Turner and Miss Dillard, all the people that have contacted my office to say there's a story here at Salubria that we cannot let be forgotten. The story must be told. And I'm not too proud to say I was naive about the story of Salubria until they brought it to my attention. And once I heard the story, I recognized this is something that we must make sure is told. And if we're going to call ourselves an education state, we must continue to educate those, particularly those that will come into our great state for even a short period of time, but make sure we let them take a little bit of history with them. So I would say on behalf of the House of Delegates, it was a pleasure to have the opportunity to match the bond offering that Senator C. Anthony Muse was able to give to this project.
Delegate. Wow. Let me first of all say good morning and thank you. I spent the morning with some of our wonderful students at Valley View Elementary. I was the speaker for their promotion ceremony. And wow, I mean, to see County Executive Baker, the skills and the academic excellence of young people on that level it says something about our history together. And particularly as we come here celebrating history, it's not just one history, it's multicultural. It's the history of all of us that's made us who we are and brought us to this place. I read often Lerone Bennett's book, Before the Mayflower. He talks about African American history and how he gives a story of how we participated in our own demise by helping others who took us from the motherland and the Middle Passage and here into America, and going through slavery and Reconstruction, and from Reconstruction to Jim Crow, from Jim Crow on and on. But you know what? It is our history, because what it says, no matter who the people may be, Latino history, Asian American, Jewish history, no matter what our history may have been, it all brought us to this place. It all brought us to this country. It all brought us to Prince George's County. And here's where we say, as Martin Luther King would say, if we don't learn how to live together as one, we'll perish as fools. I'm glad we have learned to live together as one, and this is a tremendous example of what that is. All of you who have worked hard, and we were glad to bring back those few dollars. This will be here for many years and years and years to come. Good morning to you, and thank you for letting me come.
Come back up, because we're going to start. Okay. So now let the experienced Salubria begin. For our ribbon cutting procession, we will be led by drummer Keith Colston, Administration of Indian Affairs. David Turner, would you please do the introductions?
Excuse me. Good morning. It's been my pleasure to be part of the community that has fought to preserve a lot of the Potomac Valley over the last 21 years. And with the help of so many people here, we've managed to preserve a lot of the land. Now it's time to put some of these sites and places to work, generating tourism dollars. The first people, however, have also found themselves in a position of coming together and reaching out to the tourists to tell the story of the Potomac River before our English settlers got here. And no one has been more active and have found themselves at the crux of this issue more than the Piscataway Conoy tribe, and the man I worked with to save land along the Potomac River, 15 years ago, was Rico Newman, the spokesman, national spokesman for the Piscataway Conoy tribe, which was the woodland area tribe here at that time. I'm going to let Rico introduce our drummer and official with the state government, but I do want to pass along one anecdote. When I was reading about the Potomac, the different spellings of Potomac River, and you'll see it on the plaques inside the visitor center, I said, Rico, I've read a lot of names about this place, but what was this particular area along Maryland shore called before the English got here? And Enrico leaned back and kind of rubbed his little goatee and said, it was called ours. Rico?
Thank you, Dave. Good intro. I'd be remiss not to start off by first thanking the Creator for this beautiful day that we've been given. And I promise that Keith will not do a rain dance. Senator Muse hit it on the head when he said that this represents a lot of cultures, a lot of people. And this land over the years has been consecrated with the blood and bodies of all of our ancestors. And for that, we all show some dedication and purpose in this monument that's being done here today. One of the things that we did historically when anyone came to visit was to do a greeting. We did it when the first visitors came along that river 380 years, 2 months and 10 days ago. And I'm going to share some of that greeting with you today. This is a ceremony that would take all day, pretty much what we're doing, but because we've been introduced to Father Clock, my time has been limited. So I'm going to give you part of a traditional greeting in my language, which will end with the words that mean that we wish you peace, happiness, and long life, that we know you come here in peace. Tiwainama, o Wahishiak. Ni Koyose, no winge, o Piscatawe Konoe. Wilamaleso Washkishi Kwayanamu. Aho. And with that, now I would invite Mr. Colson, friend of mine, also Tuscarora Lumbee tribe, also the administrator for the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs, to come up and share a welcoming song with me. Keith?
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Maryland Commission on Indian Affairs and, of course, the Governor's Office Community Initiatives, it is quite an honor to be able to stand here and represent not only the office, but, of course, Native people in general. To be invited by my point of contact, Mr. Rico Newman, my friend, my brother, my Rananus, in my language, as we say. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to ask everyone, if you wouldn't mind, please, grabbing the hand that is beside you on your left and your right. It is true that this is a time of education at any point in time that individuals can come to this location and learn about the history of this particular area and, of course, the state itself. As you hold each other's hand, the song that I will sing is not an honor song, but it is a song that we as Indian people use to bring people together. You have done so today. What I would ask is that this not be a one-time situation, that your hands will touch many times in the future days, that you can call upon each other to assist and not let this be one event to celebrate, but many, many more to come. And with that, I give to you what we call a round dance song, a social dance, a coming of hands together.
Mr. Colson will now lead us to the first ribbon cutting. We're going to proceed through the Memorial Gardens and then head towards the Visitor Center, where we'll have our second ribbon cutting. We have also installed ribbons on the 2 bronze plaques. We'd love for you to continue the walk to the bronze plaques, but if not, you can stop off at the reception area in the Visitor Center. We have a very robust program scheduled for today from 11 o'clock through 4 o'clock, so we're hoping that you stay around for the many guests that are here to present and tell their stories right in the Visitor Center. So on behalf of the project team and the 2 sponsoring organizations, we thank you for coming, and please come back and visit many more times and tell your friends as well. Thank you.
Let's do a nice countdown here, guys. 3, 2, 1. Yeah.